That is ridiculous. That is a huge hit into the back. Lance Stroll found the wall. The third car to find the barrier today finds himself off the road on the formation lap, and he has got himself into difficulty.
Daddy's spoilt boy has always been a chaos machine, making the dumbest and most ridiculous mistakes left and right. And guess what? 2024 was no exception. 1 year, over 20 ridiculous mistakes.
Off the road and into the wall.
Let's get straight into it. I'll keep it light, but they're only getting worse. Very first GP of the year, Bahrain. In FP1, the Canadian was testing the brakes on his Aston to see how far he could take him.
And Lance Stroll, is he about to do the same thing? Yes, he is. Bumpy end of the straight, and as soon as you jump on the brake pedal, if you're putting too much pressure on and the car's not completely stable.
Let's face it, Stroll's always been about pushing the limits. Not the right ones, of course, but more like the how badly can I mess this up kind. And on Sunday, he somehow managed to jump straight into the chaos, dropping from P12 to P19. To be fair though, it wasn't really his fault this time. It was all because this man had no intention of braking at all.
The spinner was Lance Stroll in the background for Aston Martin.
Again, but of course, the classic Strulovic mess-up we all love didn't take long to show up. In fact, it happened as early as the second GP in Saudi Arabia. In FP1, the Canadian was already eager to find out what those walls taste like.
And that is immediately into the wall for Lance Stroll.
But that was nothing compared to what he did in the race. He had a decent start, hanging in the points for a few laps. Then on lap 6, he decided to spice things up a bit.
This is into turn 22. Look at how crash off the road and into the wall. A heavy one at turn 23. Lance Stroll into the barriers and out of the race.
Why don't you hit the subscribe button with that much passion? To be fair, the next race in Melbourne was actually pretty solid, with Stroll finishing 6th, though he did gain 2 spots thanks to the incident between Alonso and Russell.
Oh, big crash! George Russell with a massive accident at the end of the Grand Prix at turn number 6. And that will end the race as a contest.
The Brit, stuck in the middle of the track and knowing Stroll was right behind him, completely freaked out.
Red flag! Red! I'm in the middle! Red!
I know, you're waiting for it, but this time he controlled himself and didn't destroy either the Mercedes or his Aston. And I guess that good result went straight to his head, because in the next race in Japan, Stroll was acting like he was carrying the whole team on his back. Yeah, basically Stroll's version of... But when you end up P12 and your teammate's in 6th, I don't think top speed was really the problem with that Aston. And I wish Lance had only made the news for his speed. Well, lack of it. But fuck off. He somehow managed to steal the spotlight again in China in one of the most ridiculous ways possible. A virtual safety car on lap 23, which turned into a full safety car, shook up the whole grid.
And the full safety car is out. They cannot move that car due to this man's retirement.
With a bunch of drivers switching tyres, including Stroll, who moved up to P10 behind Danny Rick. But damn, the Canadians somehow managed to mess it all up, even before the green flag. Yep, just watch this, because honestly, I don't even know how to explain it.
Lock up for everyone. Oh, contact at the back between Stroll. That is ridiculous. That is a huge hit into the back of Daniel Ricciardo for Stroll.
No words. The Canadian got a 10-second penalty, but poor Danny Rick had to retire because he got completely strolled. Stroll's response? Just another classic Strulovic move.
It was a Constantina effect in the hairpin. Someone braked in front, and I think it was like everyone kind of braked. The car in front of me just stopped right in front of me. I had nowhere to go. And yeah, it was just one of those really weird racing incidents.
Zero fuck given, and Ricciardo just couldn't take it.
He's saying my mistake? Okay, I had started to calm down, but now that pisses me off because I watched his onboard. He's not even looking at me. We start to brake, and his head starts looking at the corner. And then he starts to accelerate or come off the brake, and then he's right underneath me, so that pisses me off.
Honestly, I've got no idea how I would have reacted if I were Rick in that moment. Your whole race ruined, whilst behind the safety car. What a fucking nightmare. Now you can't even be safe behind the safety car. And of course, I can't talk about security without having CyberGhost VPN come to mind. We hear the word VPN everywhere, but what does it actually mean? A virtual private network is like a private tunnel for your internet connection. It hides your online activity, keeps hackers out, and makes sure no one is spying relying on your browsing. With CyberGhost VPN, no one will risk coming across your random searches or whatever else you're into. CyberGhost VPN is a top player in the privacy and security world, and with over 38 million users worldwide, it's the most recommended VPN on Trustpilot. It hides your IP, encrypts your data, and routes everything through a secure tunnel, keeping your info safe. Plus, CyberGhost VPN lets you access geo-blocked content on over 35 major streaming platforms. So whether you're in a sketchy hotel in the middle of nowhere or just chilling at home, you won't have to stress about restrictions. With over 7,000 servers in 90 countries, your connection is always fast and secure. And don't stress if you're not a tech expert. The app is super easy to use on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and even gaming consoles. And with one subscription, you can protect up to 7 devices. And here's the best part. If you click the link below, you'll get CyberGhost VPN for 84% off. That's literally $2.10 a month, plus 4 months for free. Watching the 2025 F1 season has never been cheaper. So thanks to you, CyberGhost VPN, for making such a solid product and helping make these videos possible. Now, back to action. Stroll's season has had 0 breaks, like ever. Even when it's not his fault. Dude's basically a magnet for crashes. Remember that Miami sprint race start? Hamilton straight up used both Astons to slow down.
So Mercedes into Aston Martin, and round goes.
And then pushed Lance out into the McLaren.
Oh, Hamilton arrived like a bull.
And there is the damage for Lance Stroll's car.
Yeah, I know, but I'm mentioning that GP because on Sunday, he really earned it. He got a 10-second penalty for passing Albon off track and ended up P17.
This is the move with the Aston Martin. Question, was it made on the racetrack? Williams versus Aston Martin. Through when?
Well, at least he brought the car home, right? That's considered a win for Stroll. I truly think a part of him loves the accidents and chaos, because every time someone else is having fun wrecking their cars, he makes sure to join the party. Like in Monaco, when he decided to join in on whatever the hell the Alpines were doing.
Oh, there's another incident out there then, as 2 Alpines get into each other.
The 2 Alpines come together.
All while preaching about clean driving. Yeah, the joke kind of writes itself here.
Well done, guys. Well done.
I bet that another
Constantine effect.
happened, just not fast enough to be part of the big wreck. After that, the race was going pretty chill, and Stroll was even ahead of Alonso and was on track to secure some much-needed points. But then...
I have a puncture.
Oh no, Stroll's got a puncture.
Stroll has a puncture, and his amble up to the back of Pierre Gasly will not happen. That's the carcass off the rim. Stroll back to the pit lane.
Guess he couldn't hold it together, and what could have been a P10 and a point turned into a fantastic P14. Fucking hell. As I've shown you, the first 8 races of Stroll in 2024 were, I'm not sure how to say it, but very Strollish. Alonso had 33 points and Strulovic had just 11, plus a bunch of cash in damages. But Stroll, he had a different take on things. Seriously? I guess he's probably talking about these engine failures.
Lance Stroll! The 10-second time penalty for Lance Stroll. Stroll has gone off. He's hit the wall.
Meanwhile, a couple of races later in Barcelona, I think this is what his talking on track was really about.
He's gone board with Lewis again, turning into 5, opening the steering again, because a wild Lance Stroll appears.
Yeah, I think he's alone on the track. I didn't see him, my bad.
Man had 3 countries in between just to avoid Hamilton, but it wasn't until Hungary that Strulovic added another gem to his collection, ignoring the team like he was the boss. Well, now that I think about it, he really is. I mean, who's gonna tell him he's wrong? Daddy Lawrence? The thing is, at the Hungaroring, Aston decided to pit Alonso as early as lap 7, even though the Spaniard wasn't too sure about it.
So Albon and Magnussen are boxing this lap.
Copy. Too early, man. Tires, they still feel okay, I think.
Understood, Fernando, but we're thinking of stopping.
Copy, I'm not sure.
Box around there, box.
George Russell now up to 10th because in comes Fernando Alonso, in comes Daniel Ricciardo.
And even though they went for a 2-stop strategy, that early pit stop basically ruined Alonso's race, leaving him stuck managing tyres.
Target lap time or something.
Pace is good, Fernando is good for Lance. He's currently 3/10 faster than us at the moment.
So they are overcutting me.
Currently it's only Lance. Sonoda's nearly 3 seconds behind him.
I still don't get why we stopped, but okay.
Lance is about a second behind us if he pits, and Sonoda's about 3.5 behind us.
Yeah, I don't want to know, man. I know. We lost the race with everybody.
With 8 laps to go, Alonso and Stroll were P10 and P11 behind Tsunoda. With those old tyres, the Spaniard got a message.
And we've got one more lap to close up on Tsunoda, but if not, we're going to give Lance a chance. 7 laps to go, 7. And then we can let Lance pass when it's convenient. Lance, Fernando will give you DRS. We'll go past him into turn 1, and then we need to go and get Tsunoda.
At least they promised him Stroll would let him through if he didn't pass Tsunoda.
So then we will swap back if he doesn't get him. We will swap back.
Yet again, the Canadian was totally convinced he was carrying the whole team on his back.
5 to go. Everything we can to get Tsunoda now. Otherwise, we'll swap back at the end of the race.
Well, I would have passed Fernando, but okay.
You are P10, but we'll have to swap back if we don't get him.
So did Stroll pass Tsunoda to snag 2 points and be the hero of Aston, doing his talking on track? Oh, of course not. Did he at least keep his promise to let Alonso through if he couldn't get it done? Of course not.
So if you don't get him now, you need to switch back before the line. Fernando's 4 seconds behind you. There's no pressure behind. So I suggest you drop back and let Fernando pass. It's 4 seconds back.
Again, zero fuck given by Mr. Strulovic. Alonso brushed it off and set a point-to-point for the team, whether it's for him or Stroll. But honestly, knowing Alonso, I think if Lacy Boy wasn't the boss's son, he'd probably be missing a few teeth by now. Now, honestly, up until this point in the season, it was kind of forgettable, but here's where it truly turned into a disaster. He didn't score any points in the last 11 races, and went through 12 straight qualifying losses to Alonso, from Hungary to Abu Dhabi. And I guess his talking on track ran out. Not that it ever really existed, to be honest. But I guess you know what didn't run out, right? Yeah, we're thinking the same thing. In FP3 at Spa, Stroll went full on Stroll again.
Stroll has gone off, he's hit the wall. There's a lot of runoff area there in comparison to recent years, and Lance Stroll is grateful for it.
To be honest, with all those factors, rain, one of the fastest corners, and Stroll, it could have gone way, way worse. But I think one of Stroll's most underrated underperformances of the whole year was in Monza. And yep, you heard that right, underrated underperformance. Feels like the perfect term to describe the Wout's best gems, right? Anyway, not only did he get knocked out in Q1 while Alonso was almost in Q3, but on Sunday he spent most of the race in P15, nowhere near the points. And you know what happened? With 3 laps to go, Aston called him in to put on softs, just so he could grab the fastest lap, even though he wasn't getting any points.
Lance, box this lap, box this lap. Test fastest lap attempt. So it'll be a soft tyre.
So, look, Stroll hit a 122.232, enough for the fastest lap, almost, just 1 second and 2/10 off Norris's time, and he was on hards, with 21 laps on them. 21! And yeah, I know Norris has a McLaren, but to give another example, Hamilton with 12 laps on hards still beat Stroll by 7/10. In fact, Stroll's time ended up being only the 6th fastest. Guess that sums up Lance's pace for you. And again, I know he's in an Aston, but how many times have we seen an underdog snag the fastest lap in the final laps after switching to softs? And of course, as expected, Stroll's explanations were about as revealing as saying nothing.
Hey Lance, well it just looked frankly like a really difficult afternoon. Talk me through the pace of the car. Was it worse than you expected, much like you expected?
No, it was as expected. Not competitive this weekend.
Any particular reason why I think today that you weren't able to make a little bit more progress? Was it the car? Was it the strategy?
Yeah, a lot of reasons. But bottom line, we just haven't been quick all weekend.
Trust me, I get it. The Aston's been a total mess this year, and Stroll didn't hold back on the radio whenever he had a chance, like during FP1 in Baku.
This is not a car. This is not a car right now.
But when you're not exactly killing it either, mate, you can't really complain. It's not like you're overperforming in the car or being fast in any way. If anything, you're making it look even worse. In this race, Stroll went all out on the first lap, which obviously ended in contact.
And Formula One goes racing on the streets. Good reaction time for our pole sitter. Charles Leclerc has the lead into turn number 1. Oscar Piastri is second. There was a lock-up for Sergio Perez. Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda side by side, but they were sensible into turn number 3. This is Lance Stroll. He was in the middle of the pack at the time. There's the contact.
Tsunoda, close the door, mate.
Though, to be fair, Tsunoda didn't leave much space either. I'll let you off the hook this time, Mr. Strulovic, but the race didn't get any better as he retired on lap 45 with brake issues.
I got a problem. Brake. Problem.
And honestly, I love how he answered when he was asked if it was related to the first lap incident. Classic Stroll.
Well, Lance, you pulled out of the race just before the end there. What was going on in the car?
I had brake problems.
Was any of that related to your lap 1 collision with Yuki Tsunoda?
I don't think so.
And how did you view that accident?
Well, I dived on the inside and I'm not sure if he saw me or didn't see me, but yeah, he kind of closed the door on me and made contact.
But honestly, if I had to choose one to be crowned the most ridiculous, embarrassing, and unnecessary moment of Stroll's 2024 season, it has to be Brazil. Crashing into a rival? Yeah, that happens. Losing control and hitting the barriers? Alright, I can buy that. But not being able to even start the race because of not one, but two mistakes makes absolutely no sense. Stroll was on the way to the grid before the race when, out of nowhere, he loses control of his Aston.
Sent off already! It begins! Lance Stroll finds himself off the road on the formation lap, and he has got himself into difficulty at turn number 4.
He barely grazed the wall, so he could still carry on. But what did he do next?
You can reverse. You're going to have to come into the pit lane.
Page.
No fucking way. That has to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in F1. Yeah, out of the race before it even started, in the most ridiculous way imaginable. And the worst part, the Brazilian fans in the grandstands couldn't stop booing and shouting Drugovic.
And after all that work from Aston Martin, consternation in the grandstands and in the garage. And we're hearing that Lance Stroll has not managed to get that car going. The crowd are roaring.
His post-race interview, pre-race, I guess.
Sorry to see you here at this point. Can you just talk us through what happened on that formation lap?
Really strange. As soon as I touched the brakes, I just had a huge rear lock, and then I was a passenger from there. So I've never felt that in the car. So maybe there was a brake failure problem. We have to look into it.
Oh, it's always external factors' fault, Hein Lance. At this point, Stroll's season had it all. By Vegas, even the radio had given up.
Lance, balance feedback if you can, please. Okay, Lance, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. So keep an eye on the pit board, please. Okay, Lance, use the marker button if you can hear me. Okay, Lance, if you can hear me, wave on the onboard.
I guess it wasn't working anymore, but honestly with Stroll, you never really know if it's broken or if he just has no idea how it works.
Pivot behind now, pivot. So you're pressing radio instead of energy.
And I say this because this was his response in Qatar when they asked him what needed to be changed to make the car better.
It's gonna be a long interview.
I'm
defo still in that response next time someone asks me something I don't know. In Q1 of that weekend, Lawson said Alonso blocked him on his lap.
Alonso purposely slowed up through 9 and 10 when he avoided his lap. It just sucks, man.
But his engineer had to correct him.
That was tough.
Yep, Lawson was so obsessed with Alonso that he totally missed the fact it was Mr. Strulovic.
Man, the Alpha Tauri is such an idiot.
And looking back, it makes a hell of a lot more sense. In the race, the Canadian couldn't keep it together either, causing chaos right from the start.
The 10-second time penalty for Lance Stroll for causing a collision.
But at this point, nobody was surprised anymore.
Round goes Albon, further on lap 1.
Massively hit by Stroll.
Yeah, copy that.
I knew he was going to do it, I could tell.
Mate, this Aston, what the
The Canadian retired a few laps later because of the crash damage. Again, not surprised. I think that was truly the cherry on top of his 2024 season, because in Abu Dhabi he finally finished the race with no problems. Well, incredibly slow as always, but without causing too much chaos. A win's a win, huh, Daddy's boy? That was 21 mistakes in 24 GPs, FYI. If I missed any, please do let me know, but I think these are all. 2024 was his 8th full season in F1, and he's still making rookie mistakes. I can already see the comments saying I'm just hating on him, but the reality is he shouldn't be anywhere near this sport. If you buy your way in, you're gonna get clowned. That's the deal. Now, if you want to see more horrific pay drivers, make sure to watch this one next. And as always, thank you for watching.